Welcome to Global Homeless News. Today we're bringing you a story that's raw, real, and impossible to forget. We're diving into the chilling reality of homelessness in Alaska, peeling away the postcard-perfect image of this rugged wilderness to reveal the heartbreaking struggle beneath. This isn't your usual travel story. No beautiful landscapes or tourist spots here. Just raw survival in America's coldest state. Imagine this. It's a brutal winter night in Anchorage, the wind screaming at 20 degrees below zero, and you're curled beneath a tarp with only a thin, ragged blanket to keep you alive. Your breath turns to ice in front of your face. Your fingers are numb with pain, and the distant glow of warm houses feels like a cruel trick. This isn't some made-up scenario. It's real life for hundreds of Alaskans right now. Their stories grip your heart, a haunting reminder of just how thin the line is between comfort and survival. But why Alaska? This is a place of extreme beauty and extreme hardship. Towering mountains, endless forests, and winters that push human endurance to the brink. Yet, why focus on homelessness here? Unlike crowded cities like Los Angeles or New York, Alaska's tiny population and vast wilderness make homelessness an especially strange and troubling issue. With just over 730,000 residents scattered across an area twice the size of Texas, you'd think there'd be space for everyone. But shockingly, homelessness remains widespread. In 2023 alone, over 2,000 people were counted homeless in a single night. Likely far more, hidden away in isolated pockets of this harsh landscape. Isolation sets Alaska apart. The massive stretches of wilderness separating small towns leave people cut off, with no easy way to find help. Urban areas like Anchorage and Fairbanks carry the heaviest load, but even they struggle to meet the overwhelming need. Rural villages face their own desperate conditions. Crumbling homes, no running water, and astronomical costs. Imagine paying hundreds of dollars just to fill a propane tank for basic heat. Totally unaffordable for people already barely hanging on. Then there's the allure of Alaska itself, the land of dreams that draws people seeking fresh starts and adventure. But dreams can vanish fast, leaving people stranded and desperate when jobs vanish and savings dry up. Seasonal workers and veterans often find themselves trapped in a cycle of despair with nowhere to turn. Natural disasters, wildfires, floods, add even more suffering, driving families out into the cold each year. But here's the haunting question. Why does a land so vast and full of promise struggle to shelter its own people? Throughout this journey, we'll unravel that mystery piece by piece, driven by curiosity and compassion for these hidden lives. If this story has captured your attention, smash that like button, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to become part of our global homeless news family. We're dedicated to uncovering gripping stories from around the world, and we need your voice to help keep the conversation going. Now, let's face the terrifying truth of winter in Alaska. Winters so ruthless they can drop temperatures to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, burying entire towns in snow. For the homeless, this isn't just discomfort, it's life or death. Emergency shelters overflow fast. Anchorage's largest shelter, Brother Francis, has space for only about 240 people, leaving hundreds freezing outdoors. Flimsy tents pop up along city edges like Fairbanks and Juneau, battered by brutal winds and bitter cold. Ever wondered how someone survives when cold claws through their bones? Layers of scavenged blankets, hand warmers, and sheer willpower become their only hope. But frostbite isn't their only enemy. Blizzards trap people, cutting them off from any help or food. In rural areas where shelters don't exist, some cluster around propane heaters if they can scrape together enough cash. Others burn anything they can find, risking deadly carbon monoxide poisoning in makeshift shelters. Daylight dwindles to mere hours, plunging people into an endless, icy darkness that steals hope away. Every night on the streets becomes a terrifying gamble. Will they survive, or will hypothermia take another victim? Volunteers find frozen belongings left behind, a chilling testament to those who couldn't endure. In Alaska, winter isn't just a season. It's a ruthless enemy that never lets go. Alaska's economy is a shocking paradox. It's rich in oil and natural resources, yet drowning in high prices and joblessness. Isolation pushes costs sky high. A gallon of milk can reach $5, and rent in Anchorage averages $1,200 per month. Jobs in fishing, tourism, and oil swing wildly with seasons, leaving families desperate and unstable. Then add a brutal housing shortage, worsened by the lack of construction in remote regions. It's a disaster waiting to happen. In 2022, Alaska's unemployment hovered around 4.5%, but in rural Native communities, it was often twice that. Economic instability doesn't just push families to the brink, it shoves them directly onto the streets. The situation grows worse because everything arrives by plane or barge, spiking costs beyond reach. Villages suffer even more, where hunting and fishing fill survival gaps. But climate change turns traditional lifestyles upside down. A single bad hunting season can mean no food and no money for rent. Meanwhile, the oil industry, once Alaska's golden ticket, is now slashing jobs as global prices waver. 4 single parents or elderly folks on fixed incomes, one unexpected bill, a broken heater, a sudden medical crisis, can mean eviction. Alaska's wealth isn't shared evenly. It gathers in pockets, leaving vulnerable people to battle alone. But what's even more tragic is the indigenous perspective. Alaskan natives make up about 15% of the state's population, yet shockingly represent over 40% of the homeless. Historical traumas from colonization and forced relocations have left deep, lasting scars. Villages often lack basic necessities, running water, reliable heat, or affordable housing. Many natives head to cities searching for a better life, but quickly end up trapped on city streets. Organizations like the Alaskan Native Tribal Health Consortium fight tirelessly, but resources remain painfully limited. Generations of neglect pile onto these struggles. Boarding schools once ripped families apart, destroying traditions and stability. Today, overcrowded homes, sometimes cramming 15 people into a single shack, push young people toward urban centers like Anchorage. But without job skills or support networks, they quickly fall through the cracks. Tribal leaders say housing funding often stalls in endless bureaucracy, while urban shelters rarely meet cultural needs, such as providing traditional foods or space for ceremonies. Yet despite the hardships, Alaskan natives fiercely hold onto their heritage. Storytelling, dance, and community bonds become lifelines. Elders teach survival wisdom passed down over centuries in this unforgiving land. Their struggle isn't just about finding shelter. It's about preserving their identity in a world determined to erase it. And there's another troubling issue: substance abuse and mental health. Alaska faces some of the highest alcohol death rates in America, and rural isolation only intensifies untreated mental health struggles. Shelters report high rates of addiction and conditions like PTSD, often rooted in trauma or military experiences. Alaska's large veteran population is particularly affected. Treatment options exist, but wait lists stretch for months, and stigma silences many cries for help. It's a vicious cycle that's painfully hard to break. The statistics paint a grim picture. Opioid overdoses have surged, while methamphetamine use spreads through small towns. In tight-knit communities, shame often prevents people from seeking treatment. Veterans, nearly 10% of Alaska's adults, carry scars from service, yet VA clinics can be hours away. For others, past abuse or domestic violence spirals into deeper despair. Rehabilitation beds remain scarce. Anchorage's primary facility has months-long wait lists, and rural outreach shrinks further due to funding cuts. Alcohol becomes an escape from the cold outside and pain within, but it traps users deeper into desperation. Breaking free requires more than determination. It demands resources, often frustratingly out of reach. But have you ever wondered what daily life really looks like for Alaska's homeless? Imagine waking up in a frost-covered tent, shivering in bitter cold, trudging through snow to line up at a soup kitchen, or desperately searching for warmth in a bus station. Anchorage's Sullivan Arena briefly served as an emergency shelter during the pandemic, hosting up to 400 people. But when it shut down in 2023, many were forced back onto freezing streets. Meals come from charities like Bean Cafe, serving thousands monthly, but survival demands constant vigilance. Keep warm, keep fed, stay alive. The day starts painfully early. Sleep barely comes when the cold seeps through thin walls. Some scavenge firewood or cardboard insulation. Others line up at dawn, hands gripping hot coffee cups for warmth. Public spaces offer brief refuge, but harsh loitering rules push people out. In Fairbanks, where wind chills plunge to -50, frostbite scars tell chilling stories of nights gone terribly wrong. Hygiene is a rare luxury. Public restrooms are scarce, and showers even scarcer. Possessions shrink down to only what fits inside a single backpack, fiercely guarded from theft and harsh weather. Every decision becomes critical. Should they eat now, or save food for later? Should they rest, or keep moving to stay warm? It's a relentless, brutal rhythm dictated by sheer necessity. But communities aren't sitting still. Nonprofits, churches, and local governments are stepping up, determined to help. The Housing First model, offering permanent homes without conditions, is catching on fast. Programs like Carluke Manor in Anchorage now shelter dozens. Mobile outreach teams bravely deliver supplies in freezing conditions, and tiny home villages are being tested in places like Fairbanks. But funding remains a huge obstacle. Alaska's oil-dependent budget crashed, slashing critical social services. Only the generosity of volunteers and donors keeps these efforts afloat. What do you think? Could tiny homes be Alaska's solution? Grassroots innovation shines through in places like Juneau, where churches rotate as warming centers when shelters overflow. Volunteers stitch sleeping bags from scrap fabric, and food banks somehow manage to feed hundreds each night, despite stretched resources. The state itself is experimenting too. Anchorage's 2023 cold weather plan added emergency beds, but demand quickly overwhelmed the supply. Tiny homes, affordable and quickly built, spark fierce debate. Some see a real fix. Others dismiss them as mere band-aids for deeper wounds. Success stories, like a veteran finally housed after years on freezing streets, fuel hope, but the scale of the crisis remains daunting. With oil revenue unstable, crowdfunding and grants barely patch the gaps. It's a messy, stubborn fight driven by Alaska's gritty spirit against an equally stubborn crisis. Alaska's climate isn't just scenery. It's a harsh character in this story. Rapid warming, at twice the global average, melts permafrost, floods coastal villages, and displaces entire communities. In 2022, Typhoon Merbok destroyed homes in western Alaska, leaving families homeless overnight. Shorter winters disrupt traditional hunting, pushing rural Alaskans deeper into poverty. Climate change doesn't just make headlines. It magnifies human suffering, clearer here than anywhere else. But even amid this hardship, stories of hope shine through. Take John, a former fisherman who lost everything to addiction, yet found stability through a Housing First program. Or Sarah, an Alaskan Native mother who rebuilt her life thanks to a tribal grant. These aren't just stories. They're proof that solutions work when compassion meets real action. Outreach workers reveal something powerful. Hope isn't dead, even on the coldest nights. Their experiences remind us that behind every statistic are real people fighting to reclaim their lives. Consider Mike, a veteran who once slept in Fairbanks snowbanks until counseling and shelter turned his life around. Now, he mentors others. Or Ella, a runaway teen who escaped abuse and found safety through Covenant House's youth program. These victories ripple outward. John's back fishing, generously sharing his catch with neighbors. Sarah proudly teaches her children traditional songs, healing old wounds. Outreach workers describe sleepless nights, tracking down clients. Pride thickening their voices whenever someone succeeds. It's not perfect, relapses happen, and funding falters. But every step forward defies overwhelming odds. In Alaska's vast, silent wilderness, these stories shout resilience. They're not just surviving. They're rewriting their futures, proving humanity thrives when help arrives. But let's pause for a heavy moment. Picture a child, maybe 6 or 7 years old, huddled in a shelter with their mom, clutching a donated coat. They don't understand why they can't go home. They only know they're scared and cold. That haunting image sticks with you, doesn't it? It's a gut-punch realization that kids are caught in this crisis too. Over 300 minors were counted homeless in Alaska in 2023. This isn't just about policies. It's about real human lives, demanding urgent attention. So what can we do? Start local. Donate to Alaska nonprofits like Covenant House, which supports homeless youth, or volunteer if you're nearby. Advocate for policies funding affordable housing and mental health care. Even sharing this video spreads vital awareness. Ever think about how your small actions could ripple out and change lives? Every bit counts in a place where survival hangs by a thread. Even from afar, you can amplify voices, tweet at lawmakers, support crowdfunding campaigns for tiny homes, or mail socks and gloves directly to shelters. Locally, organize blanket or hot meal drives. Beans Cafe always needs help. Educate yourself. Learn about housing first models or Alaska's budget struggles. Then spark important conversations. A $10 donation might buy someone a sleeping bag. 1 hour volunteering could literally warm a soul. Globally, push brands you love to sponsor aid. Corporate support stretches further than you'd think. It's not about huge gestures, but steady persistence. Picture a child in Anchorage smiling because your comment boosted this video, bringing more eyes and more help to their struggle. Small moves build powerful waves. Alaska's homeless don't want pity. They just need a fighting chance. What's one step you'll take today? Thanks for joining this eye-opening journey through homelessness in Alaska. This documentary isn't about picture-perfect views. It's about real lives, real struggles, and real hope. From Anchorage's icy streets to remote villages battered by storms, we've uncovered an Alaska challenging us all to think deeper. At Global Homeless News, we're committed to stories that truly matter. So, tell us, what moved you most? Maybe John's inspiring comeback, Sarah's incredible strength, or the child clutching a donated coat. Perhaps volunteers braving blizzards touched you deeply. Or maybe it was the stark beauty masking such hardship. This isn't just Alaska's story. It's humanity's mirror, showing us how thin our safety nets really are. We've discovered incredible resilience in frozen corners, where communities battle isolation every day. Your views keep these stories alive, so continue exploring with us. Hit that bell for more gripping stories from untamed places. Drop your thoughts below. Did the bitter cold shock you? Or did hope warm your heart? Share this video with someone who needs to see it. We'll catch you in the next adventure, where more of the world's untold stories wait.